Hey y'all, it's your girl Rosie here, and I am back with another video. Do you know what tomorrow is? No, I'm gonna tell you. It's Juneteenth. Yes, also known as Jubilee Day, also known as Freedom Day. And I just wanted to kind of tell you guys a little bit about Juneteenth and some ways that you can celebrate it this year. I know things are kind of difficult due to the pandemic and everything that's been going on in our country, but I wanted to give us something a little bit lighter, give you some information on one of these historic holidays that we like to celebrate here in the U.S. So, if you guys are interested, just keep watching. Juneteenth, which stands for June 19th, is the celebration of the abolishment of slavery in the United States. So, although it's an unofficial holiday, it's been celebrated for about 150 plus years by African Americans all over the U.S. and in other countries as well. Juneteenth comes from June 19th, 1865, when General Gordon Granger, his name is like an alliteration, General Gordon Granger, when he rode into Galveston, Texas with the Union soldiers to declare that the president had signed the Emancipation Proclamation declaring that all men were free and they were no longer slaves. Unfortunately, this was 2 years after the proclamation was actually signed, so technically slavery had already ended, but this is when the last of a handful of southern states received news that slavery was over. Editing me here. I'm stumbling around my words a little bit because I'm trying to kind of remember the correct vernacular or verbiage that a lot of historians are proposing we use when we speak about slavery, because calling someone a slave kind of takes away the humanity. So instead of like slave and master, they suggest you use enslaved person and landowner instead of like terms like that kind of denote what the actual individual person went through. So, although the Emancipation Proclamation was signed 2 years prior, there was still a handful of southern states that were still practicing slavery. Some landowners chose not to tell their slaves at all, and Union soldiers had to bust into the plantations and read the declaration, read the Emancipation Proclamation to the technically formerly enslaved African Americans out loud so they knew that they were indeed free. And other slave owners they wasn't down with it at all, and they refused to give up the practice of slavery. And unfortunately, some African Americans were still enslaved for another 6 months. Until the abolishment of the 13th Amendment, there were a handful of African Americans that were still forced into slavery. There were some brothers and sisters who didn't get to hear the bells of freedom, unfortunately. They were either killed trying to leave the plantation or tricked into staying there or just didn't know at all. As of today, 46 of our 50 states recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday, with Texas actually being the first to recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday in 1980. Hawaii, North Dakota, and South Dakota are the only states at the moment who don't formally recognize Juneteenth. Now that we got a little bit of history, I do want to let you guys know how you can celebrate Juneteenth this year. So, I know things are difficult with the pandemic and with the protests, difficult with the pandemic and the protests and the riots going on, but there are ways we can still celebrate what I like to call the other Independence Day in the U.S. and our African American, which also is U.S. history. I'm from Buffalo, New York originally, and we have one of 3 of the biggest Juneteenth festivals and celebrations in the country, along with Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Yes, it's Milwaukee. So for us, when we celebrate Juneteenth in Buffalo, we have parades, we have the Miss Juneteenth pageant, we have concerts, there's museum tours that focus on African American history, there's carnivals. It's really a big fun event of just celebration, dancing, music, laughter, community togetherness. So something you guys could do is call your family members and reconnect with them if you've fallen off, because after the African Americans were free from slavery, a lot of them went to reconnect with their family members. Another way that you can celebrate Juneteenth this year is virtual celebrations. I will have in the down bar below virtual celebrations that are actually going on today to celebrate Juneteenth. There'll be live readings, there'll be concerts, there'll be artists performing, and it'll be a general good time, music, so you can virtually celebrate with your friends. Another way to celebrate Juneteenth is a big old feast, because when people were free, they were rejoicing. And one way that the Black and African American community likes to, which honestly is true of every culture, food brings them together. So they would celebrate by reading the Emancipation Proclamation out loud and having a giant feast and have strawberry soda and things of that nature. So having a big feast, if you're lucky enough to be quarantined with your family, would be another way that you could celebrate. Okay guys, so I just wanted to give you some insight in case you didn't know what Juneteenth was about, give you a reason to celebrate even in these dark times. We do need to come together. All of us need to come together. So like I said, in the link down below, I'm going to have the virtual festivals for some different states. I found some for a bunch of different states. And if you are in the New York City area, if you choose to go out, there are walks and marches going on in celebration of Juneteenth. So if you guys want to check that stuff out down below. I will also have links so you could donate to the Black Lives Matter movement, maybe the Bail Bonds Fund, and any way you guys feel like you could contribute if you can't leave your house or choose not to leave your house. These are just small ways that we could celebrate and give back to our communities right now. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you check out down below. And I hope you are all having a wonderful day. I know things look dark now, but it's always darkest before the dawn. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you were able to learn something new from this video. And check out these links down below, because I'm sure some of these virtual festivals will be awesome and a great distraction if you are still quarantined. Thank you guys. Bye!